Where do we start? Normally we have calcium, so we got a balance of these electrolyte ions here in our body, and we get calcium from our food. So let's draw an arrow. And calcium, phosphate from our food also. So phosphate is really abundant in food. Okay, and these things, the calcium, when there's enough, it goes to the bone. Okay, and it gets stored in the bone. And also phosphate goes to the bone, so it gets stored there. The rest is then cleared through the kidney. So it goes to the kidney to get cleared and get out of the body. So that's basically where the calcium is stored. When you get low calcium, so low calcium, let's use another color. So when you get low calcium, then the parathyroid gland picks that up, producing parathyroid hormones, telling the bone to release some calcium. To release some calcium, yeah, osteoclast. Okay, the parathyroid gland also. So here you get what also the kidney does is calcidiol is converted into calcitriol. Okay, so parathyroid gland, parathyroid hormones also helps with that because we need calcitriol to facilitate the absorption of calcium from the gut. So this is where calcitriol works. Okay, so let's put a 1 there, going to there. So that's where it works. And then when we raise the calcium level up again, then negative feedback loops tell the parathyroid hormone to stop parathyroid gland, stop the parathyroid hormone release, and then you get a normalization afterwards. Right, so in renal impairment, so when the kidney isn't working, what do you get? You don't get a conversion of this anymore. Alright? So you don't get calcitriol being converted. That means this doesn't work. That means you're not getting absorption of calcium from the gut. So then what? So you get this feedback first. So initially you get low calcium. So then the parathyroid glands release parathyroid hormones. Then the bones, you put some more calcium into the blood. So over time you get weak bones. So your bones lose a lot of calcium and you get osteoporosis. Okay? Alright, so that's over time. The other thing is as this continues, you kind of like your parathyroid gland starting to lose sensitivity towards the calcium level. Okay, and then it become hyperplasic. Hyperplasic? Yeah, hyperplasic. Okay, so it grows and then it releases more and more parathyroid hormones. Well, what does that do? It increases the release of calcium from the bones. It tries to do this here, but it can't anymore because the kidney just doesn't convert this anymore. So that pathway is pretty much no. So, and then eventually you get an actual increase. You become hypercalcemic. Okay. Okay. So that's hypercalcemic. So become hypercalcemic. Remember, phosphate also get cleared by the kidney. So if the kidney doesn't work, so you can't clear phosphate, so you get an increase in phosphate. So when you get calcium plus phosphate, you get calcium phosphate. And this here, calcium phosphate, is insoluble. And if it's insoluble, form stones. Stones in the kidney, stones in the gallbladder, stones everywhere, stones in the skin. Okay, so this is a dangerous thing. It's an insoluble salt. What other things are there? The thing is, if the kidney doesn't work, then water is not being cleared properly, so you get water retention. So HCO retention. Alright, the pictures look really horrible, but I provide my pictures just for the sake of this. So you get HCO retention, you get hypertension. Now imagine with someone with hypertension and heart failure. Okay, so it's not good for the heart also. So you get this, and the heart become hypertrophic, and then you got heart failure, congestive heart failure, and then you get calcium phosphate here, going to the blood vessel and hardening it, causing atherosclerosis. So you see, it's all of this problem just build upon itself when your kidney fails. Okay, what other things are there? Insulin is renally cleared. Like Ikwan has said today, insulin is renally cleared. But your kidney is not working. If your kidney is not working, insulin increases in level. What does that mean? Hypoglycemia. Right, you get hypoglycemia. That's a bad thing. We all know it's bad for the brain and for diabetic patient. Originally, when the diabetic patient, they get this improvement in their glycemic control. That's an actual really worrying thing in renal patients. Okay, and then they get hypoglycemia. Okay, so you get calcification of the skin. We already talked about it. So your skin becomes brittle. So calcification of the skin, become brittle. What other stuff's are there? What else does the kidney do? Such small organ does so many things. EPO, alright? EPO is produced in the kidney. What happens? There's no EPO? Anemia happens. That's what it is. Anemia happens. Now imagine someone with MI problem, a heart failure problem. Anemia is worse. So for the amount of blood that the heart tries to pump, there's not enough oxygen, so it pumps harder. So you get this progressive worsening of your heart and your cardiovascular just because there's no anemia. And other thing is, what else? What does the kidney do? The kidney is used to produce urine. And if it can't produce urine because it's failed, you get uremic toxin going back into, right? Uremic toxin going back into the circulatory system. What does that mean? This uremic toxin decreases platelet counts. Uremic toxin increases platelet turnover. And uremic toxin decreases platelet adhesion. So they don't stick together as well. They don't produce clot as well. Okay? So what do you get? You get bleeding risk. Right here, bleeding risk. Okay? Now let's even build upon this little note. Imagine you get this calcification in your stomach lining and then it breaks, alright? And then you get GI bleeding. GI bleeding, you're losing iron, and you become iron deficient, and then when do you end up? Anemic. That's pretty much it.